Hey folks, Will Owen here with JetBoatPilot.com. Today we're coming to you from beautiful Northwest Florida, Panama City. Out near Tyndall Air Force Base, we got beautiful blue skies, the jets are flying. You're gonna hear a lot of it going overhead here. Let freedom ring, baby. We're gonna show you today something brand new. We wanted to do this for a long time and finally had the time to do this. We're gonna review SeaDoo's all new Switch. Now they have three different sizes. We bought the 2022. This is the 18 Switch Cruise, 170 horsepower. This is kind of their mid-size. They make a 13, an 18, and a 21. We're gonna go over the boat today, give you some of our thoughts, first impressions, and we wanna also point that fact out that we own this boat. We bought it, we have about 7 hours on it. We've had a chance to experience all the things that we wanted to kind of experience and things we think are valuable to share with you. So let's jump in and talk about some of our first observations. So one of the first things you'll notice about the Switch, there are no points of entry with the exception of the front. And that could be a good thing, or that could be a bad thing. For us, because we're in a saltwater environment, the docks tend to be pretty high. This is not like going to the average lake. So getting on and off the boat from a high dock can be a little bit of a challenge. They give you an entryway in the front here to get in. It's a very large, wide door. And I'm gonna step on real quick here, but a little bit of a step down there. A lot of boats we've seen have high gunnels on the sides, and you can step to the gunnel from the dock, making it a little easier for high docks. But you can do that with some of these rails, but really the chief entry point is right here in the front. That's what they intend. This door has a hinge as well as a locking feature. We can simply lift the door, slide it completely shut, and then drop it down so it's not going to fly around while you're in operation. So it is easy on and easy off when the dock is low. If you're in a high dock when the tide is low like it is right now, again, a little bit of a challenge. But I do like the fact that it's very wide. If you had somebody getting on with mobility issues, possibly somebody that has a ramp and a wheelchair, you could even do that. So I do like that part. In the front, while we're talking about things in the front, it does have a nice built-in anchor locker so that you can tie off your anchor in road. And when you get ready to deploy the anchor, it simply pulls out, you throw it out in the water, get it set, and then all your excess line goes right back inside this compartment here. Our boat has MarineMat equipped. It will not come with that standard from the factory, but that's something that JetBoatPilot makes to give you additional traction. Get this back shut here. We've also upgraded something that you won't see from the factory. We've upgraded to SeaDoo's sound system. It's a JL audio powered subwoofer and kind of upgraded speakers. Has a great sound, and we'll talk about that in a later video, how to pair your phone to it and how to get that sound. But definitely a big improvement over the two little tiny speakers that come with this boat from the factory. The two speakers that come with this boat from the factory, you can hardly hear them when you're underway, so you're definitely going to want to upgrade your sound system, whether it be this system or some other system, pretty quickly. And this thing is awesome. It actually is really great. It's even got some cool features like a little USB jack here, so you can plug your phone in. It's got cup holders and storage underneath. Don't try to do this at yourself. This is a professional install. To install this, we tried this. We were gonna do a video to show you how to install. Honestly, it's a professional install. Let the professionals do this install. One of the things that SeaDoo really chose the Switch name for is the fact that you can switch the configuration of the seats very easily and quickly according to your family's taste and what you have need of. I want to show you real quickly how to do that. You simply pick up and pull out on the yellow latch, and the seat is to be able to detach from the floor. If you look on the bottom, there is a little receptacle here. Notice how when I turn it, that twists. Let's look at the floor. See the floor here? It has these four little receptacles, and all of the tiles in the front, all around the boat, all of those tiles have that same receptacle. If I take off the factory non-skid pads, you'll notice each of those tiles has the receptacle. So if we want to relocate any of these seat cushions to any location around the boat, it's really kind of infinitely configurable. So that's a really cool feature. We really like that a lot. To reinstall, simply orient back over top of that receptacle, press, and make sure that the tab is down. And now the seat is locked, it's pulled down, it's cinched down. You can do that with all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another really cool feature about the SeaDoo Switch, in the catalog they have a dock tile configuration that you can secure to your dock. So when you want to have kind of dock party, or if you're kind of hanging out and you want to get some of these seating cushions off of the boat, you can secure them to those tiles on the dock and actually sit on the dock and chill and hang out, relax, and use those cushions in another way. So I think that's really innovative, very cool idea. Standard, what we've seen with our boat, this boat comes with a table and a table leg. It stows away in the floor neatly when you're not using it, and we discovered there's 5 different locations that you can mount this table leg, so it gives you a lot of configuration there as well. At the bottom you have a little thread here, and that thread is able to go into the floor receptacle. If you get the camera in tight, see the threads there in the floor? Even with these non-skid flooring panels in place, I'll just take the threads, align them over the top, I'll twist it until it engages all the way down, and you'll feel it engage. Once it's tight, just give it a little snug, and then you'll take your table, align the receptacle with the top, and then once we've got this in place, you can spin it around. It even has a little arm on the side here, little latch. We can adjust the height, so it goes down nearly to the height of the chair, all the way up to standard table height. Really cool. And again, we got 5 locations, so we can do that here. We could put it here, or we could put it here. We could put it here if we want, or you can put it all the way in the back. Sit back here, enjoy some drinks with your family, a little lunch. One thing I've also noted that these threaded fasteners do not appear to be stainless steel. So if you're gonna be in a saltwater environment like me, I would highly recommend that you put some spray lubricant on those threads regularly, otherwise they're gonna corrode. Accessing storage in the floor. This is about midship. We'll twist this latch, twist this latch. Latches are facing towards the aft. Move this over out of the way. Notice it has nice sound insulation on the underside. That's very helpful. Your table and your leg will stow nicely inside this compartment. We have these rubber straps here. Disconnect, put the table leg in place. Once it's in place, we'll simply pull the straps back up and lock it out so it's not rattling around as we cruise. While we're in this compartment, you also notice you have a navigation light here stowed away. And if this is not in here, we have a little spot here for, looks like a battery box or some other type of storage here. If we wanted to add a second battery is what it looks like. It's got plus and minus on the molding there. Lots of storage, lots of volume. Lock it out, you simply twist. The handles are gonna face one another. While we're down here, we'll go ahead and show you the non-skid. This is a kind of a proprietary creation SeaDoo just came out with the Switch. These tiles can be interchanged in some ways. Some are specific to, like for instance, this one's specific to the hatch, but you notice on the underside, got these little clips here, and those clips will engage these little slots in the floor. So as long as they are clipped properly, you should not lose them while trailering down the road or while boating at speed, but be sure that you do clip them in place and make sure that they're pressed all the way down. Those are all over the boat. They just can be removed in case you want to have no padding that day. Obviously, if you want to move them around other places, you have access to that as well. Let's talk about storage. Under each of the seats, there's a fair amount of storage. To access the storage, simply pull from behind. Seats flip up. This is not watertight, but if water does get in, water can get out. You have storage on both the starboard side as well as the port side here. Just has a little clasp, little pins here that attach to these little rubber grommets here. You have storage on the factory cup holders underneath both port and starboard. But again, if you upgrade to the JL system, you have storage underneath the port side. But under the starboard side, the subwoofer in the enclosure is on that side. You have a little basket in the front. storage underneath the helm. We keep our storage, our throwable device here because when you're underway, you want to have quick access to this in case someone was to ever need it. You know where it's at. It's right there. So really great place to put that. Moving along to the rear, 2 more storage compartments here, keeping our life jackets there. I do like the fact that all of this uses molded in polymers and rubber components and vinyls so that we don't have a lot of things that can rust. I don't see a lot of metal here, which is good. Saltwater guys, we don't want to see corrosion, so that's definitely a plus. Seat storage here on the back. In the rear, these backrests fold down. I don't think they fold down around anywhere else, but in the back, because of the sun pad idea, if you want to lay back here and get some sun, this stretches out the full beam of the boat, so I'm about 6 feet tall. And it's fairly comfortable. Get you a blanket or a pillow. That makes it into a nice sunbed. Also, if you want access to the swim platform, easier to get back here. Underneath the cup holders on this side, we have a little more storage here. Put dock lines or maybe a stern anchor if you like. And then one more little pocket here, keeping registration. It's also got a little accessory plug for plugging in USB, charging your cell phone, a little pocket there for stowing your insurance card or whatever you might have. So that's the storage. So this particular version has the swim platform installed. I believe you can buy this boat without the swim platform. We obviously do a lot of water sports with my family, and so we wanted this access. So it's configured with MarineMat. That's something that's optional. It does not come with that standard. You'll also notice that on the swim platform, we've got this feature called LinQ. SeaDoo created a LinQ system that allows you to connect all kinds of goodies that they sell, storage solutions, fuel tanks, coolers, all of those things that clip into those LinQ devices, and those can be configured around the boat. Really cool idea. So if you want to carry extra fuel or extra storage pods or whatever the case, you can simply clip them in place and they ride securely in the back. So that's really something I really like a lot. There's a tow point back here. So you have a tow point for towing tubes. Really nice, just kind of get the kids out there playing. I wouldn't say this is really a wakeboard boat, but definitely nice to tow a tube, have some fun with the kids. So we've pulled our navigation light out from the storage compartment. I'm going to show you how to do this. Fold this open, screw this down. Once that's tight, you have one long pole. Down on the floor here, we have our receptacle. There's a notch on the back edge. That notch is going to align itself with this little screw here. Put the pole in place, align the screw with the notch, and press down and seat it. You'll feel it click. Then press this little threaded component here into the floor, tighten firmly. And now that that's tight, that's going to switch on when I hit the power switch. Let me turn it on for you. For easy on and easy off, they have a concealed swim ladder. You might not even know it was there. Press in and up. It's going to release these little connections here. There's a little hook on one end. There's a little barb here. Pops out. It is a 3-step ladder. It's going to pop down. Easy on and easy off. You've got a couple of steps there to get back on. Once you're done, fold it back up, slide it up and in. We'll pull up, in, and then press down. It's got a spring inside that presses it out. It keeps it locked in place. That's a really handy feature. To access the engine compartment, same as the forward storage compartment, these handles face one another. We're going to twist to where they're facing towards the bow. Pull this compartment up. Again, lots of sound noise reduction there. Really like that a lot. This boat's actually fairly quiet underway. We have our Rotax 170 horsepower naturally aspirated engine. Inside the compartment here, we actually added an extra battery box in here. So we have 2 batteries on this boat with a battery selector switch. You may want to do that, especially if you plan on adding the stereo system. This engine is a closed loop cooling system, like all BRP engines. So if you're boating in salt water, that's really encouraging because it runs fresh water through the engine. You don't have to worry about salt water being inside your engine. We'll note though, the exhaust system is still open open loop. So you're gonna have raw water rinsing through or flowing through your exhaust system. So when you get back for saltwater guys, you're still gonna need to flush. We'll show you how to do that in a later video. To put the fuel door back in place, we'll simply put the little tabs here towards the stern, slide it into the track, press down, rotate the handles where they face one another. Now it's locked out. Let's look at the chair. We have a flip up bolster. Really nice if you need to get a little bit higher elevation as you're driving. If you want to sit more comfortably while you're on longer cruises, flip it down. Underneath there's a handle. If we want to rotate the chair, interact with our guests, press the handle down, sit it down here. We can sit back, enjoy the water, hang out with our guests. If you want to flip it back around and prepare to drive, it is best to pull the handle back up. We're going to lock it out. And now that it's locked, we can drive the boat safely. As with all SeaDoo PWCs, it's no exception for this SeaDoo boat. We have a lanyard. We have our traditional SeaDoo connection point here connecting to our boat. This is for safety purposes in case we were to have a spill. This lanyard is to be connected to your wrist. And if you were to fall off, it pulls the lanyard free, which then disengages the engine. So make sure that you're wearing this lanyard. This is something that's going to be required by Coast Guard and most law enforcement. Don't just leave it hanging. You can get in big trouble for that. It's not safe. But anyway, to start the engine, we'll simply press it in place, clip it on. For now, we're going to leave it hanging while we're demonstrating this video. To start the engine, we'll simply press the start button. But for those of you that are new, I want you to really pay attention to this, because you've seen the videos on YouTube where the guy goes to the boat dock and he gasses up the boat and then he starts the engine and the thing blows up. We don't want to see that happen to you. So right down here on the bottom, you'll see this little picture of a fan and it's blowing some fumes around. We're going to switch that on. You want to let this run at least for 2 or 3 minutes prior to starting the boat if you have not run the engine within the past several days. If you just switch the engine off, if you've been running already, it's not necessary to run this every time you start. But if the boat's been sitting, if gasoline fumes have been collecting inside the engine compartment, it is really, really smart to evacuate the fumes first before you start the engine. Don't be that guy that's caught on YouTube showing people what not to do. So right away you notice this pontoon boat is very different from anything else you've seen. SeaDoo, being in the personal watercraft business, has integrated their traditional personal watercraft style handlebars to the boat. I believe they did that for a lot of different reasons, mainly to save cost, to try to make this boat more of an entry-level boat for those that are new into boating, but also too, it's something that they have a lot of experience with, a lot of technology behind it, so they wanted to use it. So right away you'll see there's 2 triggers on the handlebars here. The right side trigger is going to be our forward control. This is going to give us our forward thrust. If we want to go in reverse, this left side trigger activates the reverse bucket. So if we want to travel in reverse, we simply press the reverse bucket. You'll see the boat starts to crawl reverse. If I let go, it goes back to neutral. While we're in neutral, we still have just the slightest amount of forward crawl. So that's why you see the boat kind of moving just a little bit right now. It just has the smallest little bit of a forward crawl. So if you're cruising along, let's say we want to slow down abruptly from a high speed to a low speed, this also acts as a brake. We'll simply grab the reverse control, we'll apply throttle, and that gives you the ability to slow down in a shorter space, shorter distance. So a really nice safety feature. On the handlebars, you'll see some push buttons here. We have a VTS mode. This boat comes equipped with trim tabs. You'll be able to trim the bow up or down. You'll see on the dash here, on the gauge, as I press the button, you'll notice that it's going up and down, and you'll see arrows associated with the location of those tabs. So as we adjust, it's going to trim the bow up or trim the bow down. That's very helpful if you're out in rough water. You're going to keep the bow up in that rough water to keep stuff from spraying over the top. As you trim that bow down, you get a little bit better speed. So depending on how you want to go that day, that's really nice. We have a cruise feature on the side here, and this is really nice. If you set the cruise feature, you can engage cruise control essentially. You can take your hand off the controls. It's going to save these fingers from having to hold that little throttle all the time. Ours we have not been able to engage yet, but I believe it will engage once we reach the 10-hour mark. For those of you that are brand new to this, it's very important to follow the protocols outlined in SeaDoo's owner's manual about the break-in procedure. Don't go out and just wide open, full throttle all the time for that first 10 hours. Follow the break-in procedure, vary your RPMs. Once that 10-hour mark is reached, you should be able to engage your cruise control feature. So that's very nice. Also on the side here, we have this mode selector. That's going to let us change from sport mode to economy mode. So that's really nice if you want to have more fuel consumption, but also more performance. You choose the sport mode. Economy mode is going to be a little bit more fuel-minded and have a little more fuel savings. IDF. This is a really cool feature. Something relatively new. We are still new to using it and operating it, but basically the IDF feature allows for the impeller and the impeller shaft to be spun in the opposite direction of normal operation. What that's designed to do is allow you to clear any sort of clogs or debris that might be present inside of your intake and blow them back out the intake from where they came. So if you do experience a clog or some kind of jam, it's not going to end your day. Just simply engage IDF and then blow the trash out and then go back to your standard setting and off you go. So really innovative, very nice feature, and we'll feature that use in a later video in detail, how to use the IDF feature. Over to the right side here, we've got several up and down arrows and an OK button. If you notice on the dash here, as I select these arrows, I'm able to go up and down, left and right. And as I choose that, I've got an RPM button or mode, I've got a range mode, I've got a settings mode. It toggles between RPM, range, and settings. If I click OK on settings, at the top you see it shows 7 hours. If I click on the up arrow, it shows my time. Now if I click it again, it shows trip A, and then back to 7 hours again. So it's a trip meter, an hour meter, and then it's also got your actual your time. Right now it's in your 24-hour time setting. You can change that in the settings as well. Down low under the handlebars, you'll notice we've got our horn button. We've got our anchor light, our navigation lights. So this should let us use our forward, the red and the green lights on the front of the boat, engaging them there. Of course we have our, and this is, by the way, this is a 3-stage switch. So we can choose just the anchor light only, we can choose off, and we can choose all 3. So the navigation lights as well as the anchor light. Switch that back to off. Now we have our fan here to evacuate any fumes out of the engine compartment, and we have our bilge pump, and the bilge pump's designed to randomly cycle to see if there's water inside of the engine compartment, and then when this switch is active, it'll pump that water overboard whenever water is present. If it doesn't sense any water, it'll switch back off again. So it'll cycle from time to time. Up on the top here, we have our controls for our stereo system. So you press and hold the power button. That's going to engage the power. Once it's connected to your stereo, you have the ability to play, turn your volume up and down, and then to turn it off, you simply press and hold, and you hear this audible tone telling you that the power is now off. I'm going to go ahead and switch the power off and mention one more thing here. When I switch the power off, when you leave your boat, let's say that I'm going for a day, leaving the boat at the dock, and I've powered everything off, I've taken the key with me, I'm gonna go put it inside. We don't want to just simply leave and not switch off the battery. So as this boat comes from the factory, we did not see a battery disconnect switch, but I highly recommend, first thing, get a battery disconnect switch, switch the battery to the off position, because you're gonna have some draws from various electrical systems periodically over time, and the battery, when you come back to crank the boat, the next time you come back, let's say you've waited a couple weeks and you come back to the boat, the battery's not going to have any power. So getting a battery disconnect switch should be the first thing on your list, okay? So as an available upgrade, this is not a standard feature for the SeaDoo Switch, but we wanted it because we boat in areas where we're not necessarily completely familiar with the terrain. So we got ourselves a Garmin chart plotter. And this feature should come on when power is on the boat. So I will put my key back in, press the start button one time. This should engage the power. And now I should be able to press and hold the power button. And now we have our chart plotter. This is not a super high-end chart plotter, but it is sufficient to tell you where you are relative to the shoreline. as well as helping you plot your courses. I'm still learning about this, so I'm not going to speak at length about it. It is an optional feature. We find it extremely valuable, especially for those of you that are not familiar with where you are or where you're going. This is going to show you where you are in relation to the shoreline. Very important, especially you get into bad weather, if you have fog or whatever else. Super, super, super important. And we'll make another video about this later after we've had a chance to really fully learn its features. One of the cool switch configurations that we've discovered that's been really helpful for us is the one you see here. We've taken the forward bench here and separated the two. So you have a little exposure here to the undersides, but it also allows you a slot to slide a big cooler in place. You get a little separation for those big guys that got those big wide shoulders. You're not sitting next to somebody else and rubbing up against them. You got a little more room. What we also love is the configuration of this table. It actually has a feature built in. So if we want to unlock it, if you bring the camera down low, do you see these little tabs right here? We can flip that tab so that it's kind of running parallel there. Do the opposite this way. And then once we pull on it, the whole thing comes off. So if these two are sitting close enough, the table can be situated between these two. So once again, there's a lot of configurable features on the Switch. Some of the things we're really just discovering that we really like a lot. All right, let's talk about the Bimini Top. We love, love, love the SeaDoo Bimini. There's a lot of really great features, a lot of innovative things that they've done, and we want to talk about some of that stuff today and give you a couple of tips and tricks about how to use yours. First of all, you'll see right away something very innovative. They have integrated a boot style feature into the Bimini as it comes from the factory. If you notice, it looks like there's a boot zippered on like you'd see with most Bimini tops, but this is not. They've sewn in buckles and straps into the material. This sits on top. You can probably notice that if you look at the top of your Bimini while it's deployed, there's 4 of them. So if you notice when I undo these straps here, the Bimini is kind of hanging down. I have a lot of this excess material kind of stuffed up inside here. So it's kind of out of the way and it tucks away nice and neat. You see we've got these other straps here that are connected inside. When I first got this boat, I was like, what is that for? So I'm gonna show you what. Take these guys, undo all 4. Over here on the side, we're gonna take with one hand, we're gonna grab this back edge, we're gonna shift it back with one hand, and you notice you can do this with one person. We're gonna grab this little handle here, see the little yellow tab? We're gonna press this down and lock. Come to the other side, press down and lock. And now our Bimini is deployed in the open position. Even got a nice little pocket up here, probably to put some towels or life jackets, kind of nice little storage. In the back, I want to point your attention to this. This has been a problem for me. I don't know if this is going to be a problem for you, but right here, these little snaps are kind of bad about snapping free while we're underway. I'd like to see these snaps have a little bit more depth, a little bit more engagement on this little button here. So when I snap it, it stays secured. One thing that you can do to help prevent this, there's a Velcro tab here. You can bring this really tight, really secure that tight, and that'll help prevent this first tab from breaking loose, which would then prevent the rest of them from breaking loose. I was cruising along doing 25 miles an hour, and all of a sudden the back of the Bimini is just flapping in the wind. So make sure that that's tight. Now, you may be asking the question, how to stow this back in the closed position. I'm glad you asked that question. Let's talk about it. Grab this little yellow tab, press. That's gonna pop that loose. Grab this yellow tab, press. It's gonna pop that loose. Before we stow it all the way closed, I wanna take some of this material here. Come around behind me with the camera. I'm gonna kind of stash this up and in. And what we wanna do is we wanna take the material that's on top with those buckles. I wanna bring that out so that that's what's kind of on the back edge here. See, we've got 1, 2. Continue to do this over here. You might want to step on your seats to get it out. Bring this all the way out. Make it look nice and neat. You can even come back in, and I take this extra material and I'll pull it back and kind of stuff it up inside so that it's nice and neat. Now that I've got it all in place, we're gonna reach in our little straps here, and we're gonna buckle them up. Do that all 4 times. Here we go. And now we're ready to tow going down the road with the Bimini in the up position, the tower in the up position. You don't want to run down the road 50, 60, 70 miles an hour towing this boat with this not stowed like this. It's going to cause a lot of drag. It's going to have some potential to flap and then possibly tear your stitches. So always, always, always buckle it up like this before you tow at highway speeds. Now I want to talk about another issue that we found when we first got our boat home, and hopefully this is something that'll save you some trouble. This is talking about stowing the tower in the down position so that you can get it inside your garage. I believe if you have an 8-foot garage door, you should be able to get this boat on the trailer inside your garage. If you have a standard 7-foot garage door, you're probably not going to be able to fit it inside your garage. But let's talk about it. Here we have a leg. That leg is stowed in the up position, and there's a strap. Same thing on the other side. We have a leg. That leg is to be stowed in the up position, and we have a strap. But I want to show you something that happened with me. I'm going to press some up pressure here, grab this trigger, I'm going to pull up, and we're going to just let that hang for a second. Come back over to this side, apply some up pressure, squeeze this trigger. We're now going to let the whole tower down. One person can do this, just take your time. Make sure that it aligns itself with that little receptacle there. Now, I want to show you the wrong way first, and then I'm going to show you what we do to fix it. When you get your straps free, you may notice that this little black buckle is on the inside of this rail. Well, that's wrong, because if you want to try to secure this tower in the down position, and while you're towing it down the road, if you notice, the strap does not secure to anything. So what we found was if we simply take this buckle and this riveted strap, rotate it around 180 degrees like this. Now we can take the strap, we pass it down through this little slot here. We pull it to the outside. We come back through the buckle and we pull it down tight. And what this does is this ensures that this tower is going to ride on that rubber stop while you're riding with the tower in the down position. Because you can do that to save fuel, make it more fuel efficient, have it kind of down more, maybe a better bridge clearance, whatever. That's the way you want to tow it, then you got to strap it down. Otherwise, it might blow upward and do some damage. So this one we've already adjusted. I'm going to go from the outside. I'm going to take this loose. I'm going to pass it from the inside. I'm going to go to the outside, come through the buckle, pull it tight, and now the tower is secured in the down position. Again, you're going to want to stow it this way when you're putting it in the garage or when you're towing it down the road at highway speeds. It's going to be a little bit better for you, definitely better bridge clearance, and obviously just better fuel economy. So hope that part of the video was helpful to you. One of the things we're really in love with about the IBR, this eye control on the handlebar controls, is that our throttle and our reverse is accessible to our hands at all times. So if I want to go forward, it's right finger. If I want to hit the brakes, I grab the left finger, squeeze, and then give it gas with my right finger. That slows me down. If I want to go in reverse, just keep holding on to that reverse lever in my left hand and apply throttle. I'm in reverse. If I want to go forward, I'll release the left throttle or the left lever, and I'm going forward again. If I want to stop that speed altogether, press the reverse lever, press the throttle, that stops me. And now if I want to make a turn in reverse, turn the handlebars in the direction I'd like for the bow to go, and the boat is going to spin and go a full 360 this way. If I want to stop that rotation, all I have to do is twist the handlebars. So what I'll do is once I get it kind of moved away from this shoreline here, I'll give myself a little bit of room, release the trigger on the left handlebar, pull forward. Now I'm going to grab the trigger on the left handlebar. I'm going to steer to the right and give it some gas. Now I can start this 360 in the opposite direction. It's worth noting that the steering in reverse is counterintuitive. It's opposite of what you would experience on most boats or in your car, but when you've engaged it, there's a lot of control here. It's going to take you some getting used to, so what I'd recommend is you find yourself a nice quiet place away from the dock, out in the water somewhere where there's no docks, nothing that's not movable, maybe a buoy or a marker or something of that nature, and then get familiar with the controls, because a little bit goes a long way with this boat. Now we're going to practice a little maneuver here, approaching the dock. We're going to give it little bursts of thrust, both forward and reversed. If I tap the right throttle, it shows F on the dash. If I tap the left, it's going to show me R, and after I release it, it goes back to N for neutral. Giving it little bursts of thrust, both forward and reverse. I'm able to manage my speed all the way to the dock, release the reverse lever. Now I'm in neutral, but I remember I have a little bit of forward crawl. So just really releasing the reverse lever and then letting it go to neutral and then back to reverse, you really don't even have to touch the throttle. That's going to give you a lot of precision. Once you've gotten where you feel like you're comfortable, go ahead and pull your disengage. Check the side, make sure you're not going to rub up against the dock. You can go up and start securing your dock lines. Now we're going to back out of the slip. I've got the reverse lever depressed. I'm going to steer towards the dock a bit to swing the stern away. I'm going to watch my rear, make sure I'm not going to hit this piling. Steer to the right, that's going to bring the bow around a bit. Bow back to the left a little bit. Where you point the handlebars is where the bow goes. So remember, steer with the bow, not with the stern. I'm in reverse only, there's no throttle, just reverse idle. As I back away, now that I feel like I'm in good position, I can turn the handlebars, still just reverse idle, boat's turning, release, I'm back to neutral, press the throttles, and I'm motoring away. Notice that the steering stays in the same direction that I'm going, so we're steering with the bow, both in forward and reverse. If I want to stop, press the reverse lever, grab the throttle, that's going to bring me to a stop, steer with the handlebars to the right, the bow goes where I point it, let go of the throttle, it's going to slow down, release, that puts you back in neutral, grab the throttle, and go back to the left, that's going to give us a little bit of that forward crawl. Let go of the throttle, I'm going to bleed some of that power off. Steer towards the slip. Again, in neutral, so I'm going to grab the reverse lever, goes back to neutral. We're going to enter this slip in neutral, not in forward. We want minimal speed. The expression we've heard over and over and over again is never approach a dock any faster than you want to hit it. You want to make that your mantra. Any boat, regardless of what you're driving. Crawling in really slow. Especially notate your winds and currents. Make sure that you know if the wind is blowing hard, you're going to want to align yourself a little further away if the wind's blowing you to the dock. If the wind's blowing you away from the dock, you can align yourself a little closer. Grab the reverse lever here, let's bleed some power off. Once we feel like we're confident, hit the start-stop button, go over, grab the piling before we bang into the dock and scratch it all up on the oyster shells. Well, that's the control for the SeaDoo Switch. I really love all the control that we have. Honestly, I believe that the control is a bit on the aggressive side, so you got to learn what not to do versus what to do. So keep that in mind when you first start controlling it around the dock. We hope this video was informative to you and helpful. For more information about the SeaDoo Switch, feel free to reach out to us through JetBoatPilot.com, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're always there. We thank you for watching. Have a great day.